are live.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Potfeet. Hello, Discord. Glad you could join us tonight. Or today, depending on what time zone you're in.
All right, let's see. Why am I not hearing you twice?
Because they're
I
very
should
well
be.
synced, at least for me. Discord is extremely well synced with the real time.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're almost right
All
on.
right, now I got to crank Chrome back up so I can hear you again. Well, how are you tonight, Steve?
I'm doing good. It's been a good week. I
Doing
mean,
fine.
relatively speaking. Depends. In some ways, let me put it that way.
Yeah, can't,
Let's say
yeah.
locally in our household, it's been
Yes.
okay.
So from the cats all the way over to the dog, it's been fine.
Right. We're
My,
healthy.
a friend of mine says that she does think that it's probably time for us to have switch quarantine partners. Everybody pick the person to their left
Oh, what does that mean?
just for a little break, Just a little break. All right. I think I am ready to go. Sounds fun, Sandy says. Jill has a fire pit. That's right. I picked Jill.
I picked
Am
Kevin.
I breaking up there? Looks
No.
like I'm. Hmm.
Um.
Looks like it to me. Oh no. Actually, it's just on my iPad that it looks like that. Oops. All right. I am fixing to make a plan to mute Steve if that works.
See if it works.
Are you muted? All right, good. All right, let's go ahead and get this show started. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, June 7th, 2020, and this is show number 787. Well, this week's Chit Chat Across the Pond was unlike any other before it. I've always tried to make the Podfeet podcast a place you can count on to just focus on tech and nothing else. We've really needed to have that oasis in the past few months. But this week, I decided to take a pause and talk to Rob Dunwood of the SMR podcast about what it's like being a Black man in America. This was, of course, inspired by the death of George Floyd at the hands of the police in Minneapolis. I wanted to have Rob on to describe to us what the daily life is like for Black men across this country. I've heard some of Rob's stories before, but I was floored at the relentlessness of how he and his fellow African Americans are treated by the police as a matter of course. It's not an easy episode to listen to, but probably the most important chit chat I've ever recorded. I hope you'll open your minds and listen. By the way, if you'd rather read, I've included the transcript of the call created by Otter.ai. I'd like to thank listener Heidi Proctor for urging me to create the transcript for the hearing impaired, but even more for doing the tough job of editing out any mistakes Otter.ai made. We left it very conversational with all of the ums and ahs you'd normally hear when someone's talking, but the pure transcription errors have been removed. There are timestamps for each section, so if anything isn't clear, you can jump to that time in the audio conversation for clarification. All right, so do I do a chapter mark at the very beginning? Like the music hadn't even stopped, and I put that in.
That's up to you. So Frank joined us. I don't know if he's in roll call.
Frank?
Was he in roll call?
Oh, you know what? I didn't do roll call.
Oh.
Roll call. Wait, what's that song? That
Well, I'm thinking of the SNL skit with
yeah.
Sherry O'Terry and Will Ferrell, which is just
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking of.
The chess club. I think they're the chess club cheerleaders.
Yeah. Roll call. Okay, we have It's Hedy Lamar, which I think is Marty. We've got Kevin. Kevin and Jason and Jill and Nuclear John. We got Rick and Sandy and Mark is here.
Just me.
Hi, Mark. And Michael Westbay is here. And let's see who else we got. We may have Nick. I'm not sure. Oh, I always forget I can't scroll with my fingers on an iPad. That's so annoying. Did I say Jill? We've got Ed Tobias is here and NASA Nut version of John and Rose from Australia. And Wheels always rolling up in the rear there. At the rear. Sorry. Phrasing. Okay. All right. Now I need to go to audio hijack update. Here we go. Oh, I should put in before I do that. Always forget to do the chapter mark first. Okay. Here.
There it is. Thank you, Jason.
What's that?
Put in roll call.
Oh, how does he do it, people? How does he do it?
I will say that's a GIF or GIF, but their words are even better than their actions.
It's hilarious. It's so funny. All right. So we're going to do audio hijack next.
Certainly enthusiastic.
Okay, I'm going to mute you here. 5 years ago, I created a video tutorial for Screencasts Online all about my favorite Mac application, Audio Hijack. In the intervening 5 years since I did that tutorial, Rogue Amoeba has continued to add new features to the app. I decided it was time to do an update video on Screencasts Online to explain those new features, like the ability to capture Siri and VoiceOver and redirect it to the output you desire. Those updates were cool, but I still had plenty of time to include a new tutorial on another Rogue Amoeba app called Loopback. This application allows you to combine physical hardware devices into virtual audio sources. Now, that's kind of a complicated way of saying you can do things like make an application such as QuickTime into an audio input to a Zoom call so your fellow Zoomers can hear what you're playing. You've heard me talk about how I use Loopback to create the transcriptions of all the lovely 15-year anniversary show recordings using Otter.ai. In fact, you just heard me mention that I also used it for. I didn't use it. In fact, do. It has so many uses. Anyway, it was a delight to create a video tutorial for Screencasts Online of both of these amazing applications. Remember, you can watch a free 7-day trial of. I don't think I got an update on each of these. Remember, you can get a free 7-day trial of the Screencast Online service and watch this video and all of the back catalog during those 7 days. It's dangerous, though. I'm sure you'll want a subscription after that. Okie dokie. Next. What's up next? Oh,
I think it's the
tiny tip from Andrew Darlow coming up.
Is this the yeah?
What's going on in the chat room, Steve?
Well, I don't know if you heard, but Frank had his gallbladder removed and was never informed. Apparently, it was done during another procedure.
When?
He doesn't know. He's had a few. He's had other surgeries, but they never told him they removed it.
Oh, come on! I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Well, yeah. There's something about informed consent, or I think you're supposed to sign if you're getting an organ
Yeah, I thought they were supposed to tell you those things.
Gallbladder thievery, exactly, Ed. Aliens, that's it, Mark. Mark's got it. It was aliens.
All right.
Any unusual scars there, Frank?
7 years ago.
Oh, so you know about when it happened. So you know which surgery it was?
It was, Marty says, after all, it was harvest season.
Gallbladder harvest.
You are sick. All right. Oh, I need the tiny tip music for this.
Please. That's the best part.
Oh, says the guy who picked the music, right? Okay, here we go. Sure, you'll want a subscription after that.
I was so impressed by the 15-year anniversary show and everyone's outpouring of love and respect for what you and Steve do every single week. And I'm happy to be able to submit 2 quick tips.
Okay, I need to introduce him. No, not there. Next up, we've got a recording from Andrew Darlow. All right.
You could say tiny tip.
Yeah, but then you got the music.
But
yeah,
it's not,
maybe I should. Okay, yeah. I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say, Steve. Just
thank you.
It's okay.
Kevin told me to say it.
Shut up. Next up, we've got a tiny tip by Andrew Darlow.
Much better.
Subscription after that. Next up, we've got a tiny tip by Andrew Darlow.
I was so impressed by the 15-year anniversary show and everyone's outpouring of love and respect for what you and Steve do every single week. And I'm happy to be able to submit 2 quick tips. The first is a podcast app that's only available for iOS. It's called Overcast. I'm not going to say too much about it except that after looking at many different options, this was the best that I could find. The reason why I'm highlighting Overcast is for a simple but very important feature. I found that in order to get to sleep quickly, I can listen to podcasts, not the NosillaCast, of course, because that's just always keeping my mind active and it would be hard to sleep. But like a history podcast or something like that, I find I put that on. One of my favorites is called Industrial Revolutions. And the nice thing about Overcast is if you're in the play section, there's a little clock on the bottom. And if you hit it, you can either tell it to sleep the app at the end of the episode, or you can pick how many minutes until it stops. Usually I put in 12 minutes, and I can't remember the last time in which I was still up in that 12 minutes. So it's
okay. I'm going to skip to the end because I have a lot of recording to do here.
So that's my tip for today. Thank you again for all you do, and over and out.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was fantastic. I know a lot of people like to fall asleep to podcasts. I only listen to them when I'm out running around doing errands or vacuuming or chasing the dog around, things like that. But I was fascinated by that tiny tip about how to get YouTube to stop playing. That's really, I had no idea that the clock timer could affect what you were listening to. That's a fantastic tip. So did you know his tip was that if you want some audio to stop playing at a certain time, you can use the clock app to do it. At the very bottom, there's at the very bottom, there's an option that says stop playing audio after a certain length of time.
Or podcast specific?
I think so.
Cool. Music,
yeah.
If you had some background music going on.
Yeah, whatever you're playing, it just says stop playing after, like you can say, I want it to play for 10 minutes or something.
Nice.
Or, however long it takes you to fall asleep. All right. I am on to Withings. And I did a chapter mark. Thank you, Kevin. Oh, Mark uses that all the time. Cool. You probably listen to it for the NosillaCast. All right. This can be a long one. Settle in, guys.
Buckle in.
Back in 2017, when Bart gave us an update on how he was dramatically changing his health, he explained that he was using the smart Withings scale to monitor his success. I loved the idea of a connected scale to track my weight and other metric. Come on. One second section in. I loved the idea of a connected scale to track my weight and other metrics, so I bought one of my own. The Withings scale we purchased was the Body Cardio from Withings.com, and it costs a whopping $150. I know that's a lot for a scale, but Bart's explanation of the advanced metrics really sold me. He explained that it didn't just record and track your weight, it also measures your body fat percentage, water, and bone mass. He explained that flipping out because you gained a pound could be avoided if you could see that it was actually a change in water percentage. The scale also calculates body mass index, or BMI, which is a ratio used to determine if you're at a healthy weight. Recently, Wise, the camera that bought a I am just stuttering like crazy. I know it's wrong. I'm drinking water instead of wine.
Stuttering Stanley.
Recently, Wise, the company that brought us the inexpensive Wives cam I'm so wild about, I can't pronounce Wise. That's going to be a detriment in an article about Wise. Try number 4. Recently, Wise, the company that brought us the inexpensive Wise cam I'm so wild about, came out with their own smart scale. The Wise scale is surprisingly only $20. Lindsay wanted a smart scale, so I told her I'd buy her the one from Wise, but test it for the Nosilla Castaways first. I wasn't super optimistic that a $20 scale could be anywhere near as good as the $150 Withing scale, but I figured it was worth $20 to find out. In this review, I'm going to compare and contrast the capabilities of the newly released Wise scale to the Withings Body Cardio scale. The Withings design allows 2 people to share a scale. They use an interesting method to figure out who's weighing themselves. One person has to balance on their left foot after weighing in, the other on their right. It may not be necessary to do this balancing act if your weights are wildly different, but Steve and I are very close in weight, so it's definitely necessary. This acrobatic may be a problem for some people, and I do have to admit that sometimes I have to grab the windowsill to make sure I don't fall over. Wise, on the other hand, allows you to add up to 10 users in the app. You add each user with a nickname while identifying them further with their gender and height. When it asked for my gender, the app said it understood that male versus. Oh, you know what? I am going to stop for a second and refresh this. I don't think I've got the latest version of all of these recordings.
Are you talking about the blog post? Or
Yeah. Because remember we reworded that? I do not see I'm seeing a couple of things that are definitely not reworded. Have you got the blog post up right now, Steve?
yes.
Can you do a search on the webpage for WISEM? WYZEM?
All right.
And if it's in there, fix it. It was in this version. I just read over it.
Yes, it is in there.
Okay, if you could fix that, that'd be great. You add each user with a. Thank you. Okay. This is going to take forever if I keep stopping. Here we go. You add each user with a nickname while identifying them further with their gender and height. When it asked for my gender, the app said it understood that male versus female might not fully identify someone. I like that they acknowledge that, but they do have to ask that binary question because BMI is calculated differently for women versus men. So far, the Y scale is ahead with the ability to have 10 users rather than 2 for Withings. The downside to the Wise scale allowing multiple users is that you have to have the Wise app open on your phone while you weigh yourself so it knows who's weighing in. It's a bit of a pain, but I think the flexibility of multiple users is worth it. Plus, no balancing act required. Wise does require you to have the app open because it uses Bluetooth to connect, while Wise uses Wi-Fi. If you're trying to limit the number of smart devices on your network, you might prefer the Wise scale since it uses Bluetooth. I compared my weight on the 2 scales over a few days, and surprisingly, they were actually within a couple of tenths of a pound of each other. Have you ever seen 2 scales agree before? Sadly, I think that means the weight's right. Well, the fun of a smart scale is collecting metrics over time so that you can look at graphs and watch for trends. It's so easy to lie to yourself if you don't track your weight, but if you see that line going up, you know you can take corrective action quickly before things get out of control. The Withings scale measures and graphs your weight along with percentage body fat, muscle mass, bone mass, water, and your BMI as a function of time. You can see these graphs over a period of all time, year, quarter, month, or even just use pinch to zoom in and out to see a particular time frame. The Withings scale definitely beats the Y scale on the number of metrics graphed. Now, WISE actually does measure even more values about you, but only graphs weight and body percentage. To be honest, as compelling as Bart's argument about the percentage water was, I do find I pretty much only look at the weight graph. For me, having just the weight and body fat percentage graphed is just fine. However, both scales struggle with measuring body fat percentage. The Withings scale showed me as being in the 40% range of body fat for the first 7 months I owned it. For some reason, I never thought to question whether that made sense. I am not the shining example of physical fitness, but I'm also not fat. It turns out 40% body fat is in the morbidly obese category. After 7 months, though, my body fat metric in the Withing scale suddenly plummeted. And for the next couple of years, it showed me in the mid 20% category for body fat, which is a healthy percentage for women. I checked Steve's metrics for the same time period, and his also cut in half at the same time. Looks like maybe Withings changed their algorithm to be more correct. Now, while this was great, in December of 2019, the Withings scale simply stopped measuring it at all for me. The data on the graph stopped suddenly for that metric while it continues to plot all of the rest. While I'm weighing myself, the scale briefly says body fat with an X next to it. Now, after I finished writing this up, the Withing scale started measuring my body fat again. I'm not kidding you. It hasn't done it since December 20th of 2019, and it just started it right after I wrote up this article. Oh well. But so that's the Withing scale. So it was off by a factor of 2 at least. I think on Steve it might even have been a factor of 3, and for me it was off by a factor 2 and then simply stopped recording it and then started up again. But I can't give a win to Wise either because that scale seems to be simply throwing a dart to guess my body fat. It ranged in 6 days of testing from 40.4% to 25.1%. I'm pretty sure body fat percentage doesn't actually swing 15 points from day to day. Steve has also noticed it giving errant results for his body fat with the Y scale. It's registering about triple the percentage of the Withing scale for him. I contacted Wise about the body fat percentages over text chat, and Jeff was super responsive and helpful. He was clearly sending me stock articles, but they were very helpful, targeted articles to this exact problem. There's a fair number of factors that can cause your body fat numbers to be off. One thing he pointed out was that you have to make sure that your knees aren't touching each other. That makes sense since it measures up one leg and down the other. I ran a test, and with nothing or just my thighs touching, it measured 25.1%. But if I let my knees touch, it popped up to 35.3%. I thought for sure Jeff had found the problem. The bad news is that the last time I measured myself, it was back up to 35.3% with no knocking knees. Steve's body fat percentage via the Y scale is reporting over 30% body fat, which is more than triple his body fat, according to other measurement techniques, including measurements by his doctor and by just looking at him. I'm not sure what the heck is wrong, but hey, maybe in 7 months, the Y scale will figure it out just like the Withing scale did. I listed all of the metrics Withing's graphs and explained that Wise only graphs weight and body fat percentage. Wise actually does record more metrics than Withings. It just doesn't plot them on a graph. It's also hard to find. It's right there in front of you, but it's hard to see, I guess I should say. At the top of the screen is a box showing your body fat and muscle mass and body water percentages. If you tap on one of these metrics, it reveals the definition of that metric. But below those three numbers is a wee tiny light gray downward chevron that's nearly impossible to notice. When tapped, it reveals way more metrics. In addition to that, to what Withings measures, Wise measures lean body mass, protein, visceral fat, BMR, and metabolic age. In the Wise app, you can tap on any of those metrics and get the explanation. I jumped right to metabolic age because I like it. It says I'm only 59 when my chronological age is 62. Wise told me that exercise builds healthy muscle tissue and improves your metabolic age. All this exercise finally pays off. All right, let's talk bottom line here. I have to say that if I were making a decision between these two scales, the Wise scale would win hands down. While the Withing scale graphs more metrics, which is cool to see, and it appears to be more accurately measuring my body fat percentage, the Wise scale wins for measuring more things about you. The apps for both scales will connect into Apple Health, so you can use those tools to watch for trends. The ease on the Wise, though, of adding up to 10 users compared to only two and having to balance on one foot with Withings is a big win for Wise as well. Having to keep the app open is a little bit annoying on Wise, but we have our phones pretty close by these days, so it's probably not that big of a deal for people. Neither scale can accurately and consistently measure my body fat percentage, so that's not really a differentiator. But on top of all those wins for Wise, it's $20 versus $150 for the Withing scale. I'd have no hesitation recommending the Wise scale from wise.com. And no, I don't own stock in Wise like my daughter-in-law claims I do. All right, a pop kit quiz, guys. If I started using a Wise affiliate link, would that make you believe me any less? Steve, what do you think?
Believe you because you have a
Yeah,
vested
because I'm always
interest?
yeah, it's a conflict of interest if I do for whether I would recommend it, but
Have they offered one?
they have a program,
Okay.
so I could do it. Uh-oh, nobody's listening. I think the audience fell asleep. Actually, are they talking?
Country Signs joined us. She hasn't been here in a while, right?
No way. I think mine
it's
froze.
Michelle, right?
Yeah.
Hi,
Michelle.
Michelle. Thanks for coming back.
Okay, I definitely am I think I'm locked out of Discord.
Really? Can I see you? I see you.
But I mean I'm in there, just the app has stopped. I have not seen anything since 5:17 p.m.
And you can't do a refresh? Or just stop it and restart?
My problem is I don't have cursor control. Actually, I know what I can do. I'll just pop it off of it's on my iPad right now. Let me bring it back to mirror. I want to mirror it. What do I want to do? Just want it back on my monitor. Disconnect. There we go.
You got it.
Okay, where did it go? Okay, that's great. Now, can you guys can they still hear me in Discord?
Can you hear Allison in Discord, folks?
Okay,
Yes.
maybe it's coming back now. There it is. Okay, so come out of it was in full screen. And in full screen, I could do anything. Okay, there we go. All right, let me put you back in. Yeah, I'm going to go back into there. And I think I won't go full screen. One moment here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I can see everybody now. How exciting. I still don't see Country Signs. Are you seeing her? Oh, she's in the sidebar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Has she answered though? She might just be playing a video game or something.
I just texted her in case she's not listening.
Okay. Make her feel bad about being here?
No, I just welcome her. She waved hi.
All right.
Sandy says she waved hi.
Okay, good.
We're good.
Now she's typing. All right. Hi, Michelle. Oh, exciting. Okay. Time for a little pledge break. Here we go. One of the easiest and least expensive ways you can help support the show is by encouraging people to join in the fun. You can do that by cornering them when they can't escape and regaling them with stories of awesomeness of the podcast like Dean does. Alternatively, though, you could go into Apple Podcasts and write a review like Mike Price, Andrew Darlow, and Donna Ray all did recently. It brings more people to the community, which means more fun. Here's something odd I just noticed. There's a fair number of reviews for the NosillaCast, but Chit Chat Across the Pond and Chit Chat Across the Pond Lite and Programming by Stealth could all use some love. Would you believe that there are 0 reviews for Chit Chat Across the Pond Lite? I mean, nothing. It says 0 out of 5 stars because there are no reviews at all. If you get anything out of Chit Chat Across the Pond Light, I'd sure appreciate it if you could go click those stars and go check the other podcasts while you're at it. Now let's return to our regularly scheduled programming. All right, John is up.
Oh,
Nuclear John.
Gracie decided to join me.
Oh, she sure did. All right, let me put in a chapter mark here. John's still here, right? So we can listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, I think he's
I
here.
don't have. I've got another.
Yeah, and we have a lot of time too, so we should play it.
You have one thing one more thing to read myself.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
At the end.
That's okay. Scheduled programming.
Good morning, Allison and the NosillaCast castaways. This is Jonathan, also known as Nuclear John in the Slack and very occasionally live chat. When the quarantine started, like many others, I began working from home. This meant I had to convert my home office that was generally focused around my aging gaming PC to work with my 16-inch MacBook Pro that I use for work. It also meant adding an extra desk for my better half to also work from home. She's not super into technology, so her home computing has mostly been her iPhone and iPad, and very occasionally her gaming laptop. So she didn't have an external display, and after a few days of using the laptop on the couch, was definitely ready for something a bit more ergonomic. So we needed a new monitor. But what monitor to get, and who gets the new shiny? Thankfully, she's a wonderful person and let me have the new shiny. So, what monitor to get? We should talk about the monitors for consideration. I actually already had one, the HP Envy 27-inch UHD 4K IPS monitor with micro edge bezel and AMD FreeSync in black. Link in the show notes. And I really like this monitor, so it wouldn't take much convincing for me to just grab a second one. And it costs about $500 on Amazon. I also looked at the top wire cutter pick for 4K monitors, which is the HP Z27 27-inch 4K UHD monitor. Link in the show notes. And this one has good reviews, and I generally trust the wire cutter recommendations, so this one is definitely in consideration at only $539 from HP. The top wire cutter pick for 24-inch monitors is the Dell 24 Ultra Sharp Monitor U2415. Like the HP, I trust the wire cutter recommendations, and this one's actually only $339.99, so it's definitely in contention on price alone. And then there were the big two in this space, the LG Ultrafine 4K and LG Ultrafine 5K sold by Apple. They are $699.95 and $1,299.95, respectively. Since they're sold and supported by Apple directly, or indirectly since they're made by LG, whatever, they're definitely in contention because they have all that cool macOS integration. We should talk about some of the criteria for actually getting this new monitor. If I was going to plunk down several $100s of hard earned money for a new monitor, I wanted to make sure that it was going to last a while. And since I have the fancy new 16-inch MacBook Pro with the port of the future, that's the USB C and Thunderbolt 3, I wanted a monitor that could take full advantage of that. And that is run power and data over the one cable. And actually, this criteria is pretty easy. Most of the monitors, except for the Dell, have this option. One of the new hobbies I've gotten into over the past few months is programming, thanks to Programming by Stealth and Bart Busschots. And more specifically, I've been dabbling in iOS programming. There are a few things that I know iOS can do, but I can't find an app that'll do it, and there aren't any shortcuts actions in the Shortcuts app that'll do it either. So I have set off on an adventure to solve them myself. But that's another show. The guys over on ATP, the Accidental Tech Podcast, discussed external monitors and their setups for iOS development from time to time. And based on those discussions, I knew I wanted a monitor that was at least close to Retina, so the iOS simulator will work properly. This turned out to actually be a more complicated question than I originally thought. When it was originally introduced in the iPhone 4, yes, Retina has been around since 2010. It was basically enough pixels that your eye can't distinguish between them at a normal distance. But the actual specification is much more complicated. And even now, I'm not sure I fully understand it. But I finally found a website that can help make sense of this from Mark Edwards. Again, a recommendation from the ATP guys. And this basically narrowed it down to the LG Ultrafine displays. I only had to decide how much money I wanted to spend. Now let's quickly go through the comparison chart over on LG to see what the differences are. A few things that aren't different are the accessories in the box, the stand, the IO selection, and the speakers. They're all basically the same. But there are a few key differences. One thing that the 4K has going for it is it's slightly brighter. It's 540 candelas versus 500 candelas of the 5K. Side note, the candela is a unit of luminous intensity that has been weighted to model the sensitivity of the human eye. One candela is approximately the light intensity of a single wax candle, hence the name. Or you could use the deprecated but way cooler sounding candle power to express the units of luminous intensity. But let's get back on track. The 5K has a higher resolution, a whole extra K, and a larger screen, 3 extra inches on the diagonal. But something you may not notice, it also has a built in webcam and microphone, which Allison says is pretty good. The webcam, at least. On the other hand, it is almost twice the cost. I ended up going with the LG Ultrafine 4K from Apple. This seemed to be a good compromise between price and features, since I already have a Logitech C920 webcam and the ATR 2100, and now also an X version. And the larger screen resolution combo wasn't really worth doubling the price to me. We should briefly talk about why I originally hesitated on getting the LG displays and why I looked at any other monitors to begin with. And that was the generally poor reviews from the initial launch, and everyone saying they weren't very reliable. One thing that I found out when researching is that LG actually updated both the 4K and 5K ultrafine displays in 2019. I can't find a good comparison between the old versions and the new versions, so I don't really know what's changed, but I was hoping that they fixed some of the reliability issues that people originally had issues with. It's getting me ready to place my order for a new monitor and get the new shiny. It took forever to arrive, like 3 or 4 days. Eventually, it showed up on my doorstep, and I excitedly unpacked it and set it up. After decontaminating, of course. I was also planning on using my laptop monitor along with the LG, so I also got a laptop stand to get it to the right height. After doing some research, I went with the M stand from Rain Design since it was well reviewed and not crazy expensive, around $40, considering I just spent $700 on a new monitor. The monitor came pre-assembled, so all I had to do was get it out of the box and plug it in, which was pretty easy. One power cable from the monitor to the wall, and one included Thunderbolt cable from the monitor to the laptop to carry the display signal and power. Like magic, it worked. The laptop display flashed a little bit, and then both displays started working. I got the display in early April, so I've had about a month and a half since then, and I haven't had a single complaint since I got it. I don't know if the 2019 update from LG fixed some of the reliability issues, or maybe I just got extremely lucky with the one that I got. Either way, I'm very happy. I don't really miss the extra size of the 27-inch monitor. 24 seems to be pretty good size for me in my workflow. And there are those neat benefits that come with integration from macOS that non-Apple or at least non-Apple supported monitors can't really take advantage of. Things like integrating with the keyboard and touch bar settings. On the MacBook Pro, the touch bar shows separate sliders for volume and screen brightness. But when the LG display is plugged in, it also shows sliders for the screen brightness and volume of the external display. Cool. So if you're looking for a new monitor for your laptop, I can fully recommend the LG Ultrafine 4K from Apple, as long as you're willing to deal with the compromises of not having the 5K and are willing to pay a little more than you can find in other monitors for a higher DPI screen.
Wait a minute. Mike Price, you're going to send me the 12 South variant? Why would you send it to me? You don't need to do that. Yes, John, that was fantastic. That was really, really good. I like it. Sandy, oh, so you still haven't done the computer monitor or computer glasses thing. You got to get computer glasses, man. That was life-changing. So much easier. You don't use it anymore. Really? Wow, that'd be swell. So shoot me an email. Remind me when I'm not thinking about the show. The Magic Keyboard that I love so much is one of the problems I was having. I did have a problem with it that it wouldn't do capitals from time to time, like it would for a while, and then it just wouldn't do keycaps. I mean, and after the latest update, it started working flawlessly. Now it's inverted, so when the light is on, that means it's lowercase, and when the light is off, then it's caps lock. So that's neat. Can't hear you, by the way, Steve. I think you hit your mute button.
Oh, I did. When did that start?
Just today during Sidecar. Might only be Sidecar. That's really nice, Mike. I'll pay shipping. I've heard nice things about 12 South. Send me a link too. I want to see what it looks like. Oh, I have to want to. Oh, that's what that is. Never mind. What did I keep opening Safari and I can't figure out why. All right. All right, here we go. Recording now, muting Steve.
To pay a little more than you can find in other monitors for a higher DPI screen.
Thanks, Jonathan. That was absolutely terrific. You know, for some reason, I insisted on writing your name as Andrew in the show notes. Okay. Try that again.
For a higher DPI screen.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. That was terrific. It was nice and detailed, had a lot of different options in it. I really, really got a lot out of that. So Jonathan mentioned knowing that LG had fixed their quality quality problems, but didn't remember what the problem was with their high-res monitors when they first came out. The original 5K LG monitors had a shielding problem that caused radio frequency interference problems with Wi-Fi routers. The good news is LG did fix the problem in 2017. I put a link in the show notes to an article explaining the problem and how LG fixed it. I too was trepidatious about getting an LG monitor after the problems described, but Steve bought me the 5K, it's at least 4 years ago, and it has been rock solid for me. Looking back, I'm wondering if I would have been fine with the 4K for half the price. In any case, I can back John up on how great these displays are. Having all those pixels and screen real estate while providing Thunderbolt 3 interface, or shall I call it the port of the future, trademark Nuclear John, to charge my Mac and have full speed peripherals is fantastic. As he mentioned, the webcam in the 5K LG display is really good. I hate to admit this, but lately I've noticed sometimes I'm choosing the LG's webcam over my Logitech C920 because the color correction seems a little bit better. I don't know, the color looks better to me. Now that's kind of a big endorsement because I love my Logitech C920. I also use the speakers built into the display all the time, and they sound great to me. However, I'm far from being an audiophile because I listen primarily to spoken word rather than music, so you probably don't want to base your monitor decision on my endorsement of the speakers in the 5K LG. I did ask Steve to listen to the LG playing More Than a Feeling by Boston. This is a song he always uses because it's got a lot of low and high end in it. He compared the sound to the 27-inch iMac speakers, and he said it was at least comparable. The iMac is a little tinny on the high end, and the LG is a little bit muddy on the low end. Overall, he said that for speakers and a flat panel monitor, he'd give it a rating of pretty good. Thanks again for the review, Jonathan, and I sure hope you find more stuff to review for us because that was better than pretty good. It was terrific. Ha, how's that? Save customer service. Oh, whose customer service is wonderful? LG's?
12 South.
12 South. Shoot. Because I've never called LG about this weird problem I have with the fans on my computer going crazy because my CPU heats up when I hook up to my display. But, you've heard me complain about this for a long time, right? When I run audio hijack with my display attached, my CPU goes crazy. It overclocks and the fans come on and I'm listening to them right now. Right now. I did a test with my 15-inch, so 2016 15-inch, doesn't happen. Same exact setup, just swapped it out, put it in, problem doesn't happen. Why am I full screen all of a sudden? That's a whole lot ugly right
You
there.
were making a big point. I wanted to make you big.
Big point. A big, big point.
Let's get you big again. Again.
I'm a big point.
There we go.
All right. So it is time for, let me put in my chapter mark first because Steve commands it apparently.
No, Kevin does. Well,
I'm
through me.
confused. It's a lot of, okay, wait, I want to go that and then this and then ItzyCal. ItzyCal. This is a fun app. You guys are gonna like this. You're gonna want to go get it. Oh, I might actually break 40 minutes. I promised myself I would talk slow so Stephen Getz wouldn't yell at me for being under 40 minutes. Do you need another menu bar app? What does a yellow light mean? All right, Jason, how fast can you find that meme?
Yeah. Let's see how good.
Don't
Jason
tell him.
is.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
I'm not.
Okay. Oh, very good. Kevin got it. Maybe. All right. Let's start recording here. Do you need another menu bar app? Absolutely. You always need another menu bar app. Now, do you need another calendar menu bar app? Well, maybe. I've been using the calendar menu bar app functionality within iStat menus from Bajango.com for years, but I may just supplant it with a new favorite called ItzyCal from Mowgli.com. Let's walk through how iStat menus provides this functionality, and then I'll tell you about the adorable and useful ItzyCal. I like the calendar implementation in iStat menus because it's configurable to as much or as little information in the menu bar as you like. I choose to have it say the day and time along with the date. The date is shown as a tiny calendar icon with a red banner across the top and just the number of the date. So as I was writing this up, it said SAT 06:41 space 6, where the 6 is in the red and white box telling me it was June 6th. It's compact and gets me all the information I need in a quick glance. If you tap on the iStat Menus Calendar menu bar app, it drops down to show you a month at a glance and any upcoming events from your calendar. Your events for the day can be tailored to choosing which of your calendars you want to display and whether you want to see today or if you want to see the next 7 days worth of events. The month view of the calendar also allows you to flip month to month, and from there you can click on any day and see the events from that day as well. At the bottom of the dropdown is a handy calendar icon that lets you pop open the full calendar. The calendar menu bar app for MyStat menus can also display a set of user configurable world clocks. I have mine set to show Dublin for Bart, along with Wellington for Marianne and Alistair, Berlin for Klaus, and Kyoto for Kaylee. At a glance, I can see whether pinging any of them with a question will be unnoticed because it's the middle of the night for them. Now, that doesn't stop me from bothering them, it just lets me target when I bother them. Of course, iStat Menus is spectacular for way more cool features than just a menu bar calendar app. I've just realized I've never done a full tutorial on all of the features of iStat Menus for the NosillaCast. I must add that to my to-do list. I did do an update tutorial on Screencast Online. Where was I? I've just realized as I was writing this up, I just realized I never did a full tutorial on all of the features of iStat menus for the NosillaCast. I've done a screencast for Screencast Online on iStat menus and even an update one on iStat Menus 6, but I've never done a full one for the NosillaCast. Unless I'm wrong. I did a search, but I couldn't find it, so it sure seems like I would have. I'm a huge fan of iStat menus, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. But perhaps there's a better calendar menu bar app. Let's shift gears now and talk about ItzyCal from Mowgli.com. I love both the name of the app and the website. When Pat Dengler first told me about ItzyCal, my immediate reaction was that there was no way it could be better than iStat menus. But I gave it a try because it was donationware and because Pat usually only sends me very cool stuff. At the very least, I figured if I tested it and I liked it, maybe those of you who don't use iStat menus would find it useful. I'll put a spoiler out right here. It's very rare for me to talk about a product and then tell you that I don't like it. It happens, but it's very rare. In other words, I really like ItzyCal. I'm such a menu bar app addict, thanks to the late great Tim Verporten, that I have a lot of trouble figuring out which one is which at a glance. I have to use Bartender to hide the ones I don't use often just to narrow it down to a manageable number. ItzyCal's unique menu bar icon makes it a huge plus for me. The developer gives you two options to make it stand out. By default, the icon is a black, rounded rectangle with white text. Siri's going to start talking in a second. She engaged for no reason. Okay, keep save and keeping going. I have 0 other menu bar app icons that look like this. It is impossible to miss. In the preferences, under appearance, you can choose to have a lovely rounded rectangle outline of the date instead. It's clean and simple and so easy to find out what day it is at a glance. This is especially important for us right now because many of us have been struggling lately to keep track of the day. I heard it called Blur's Day on the Daily Tech News Show recently. The dropdown for ItzyCal shows you a similar view to the one I described in iStat menus. I think it's a bit cleaner and more modern looking to me, but of course, something like design aesthetic is completely a matter of taste. You know how when you're viewing a month of a calendar, there's always days spilling into it from the previous and the next month? So you have to use mental horsepower to avoid thinking about the 31 from May and the 1 to 4 from July when you're looking at the June calendar. Well, ItzyCal lessens that load by wrapping the days of just the current month with a rounded rectangle. I've never seen that done before, and my brain needs all the assistance it could get at isolating just what I need to look at. I didn't mention it when I talked about iStat menus, but both calendar dropdowns show little colored dots under each day to designate if there are any events from any of your calendars on those days. With ItzyCal, you can use the appearance preference to toggle off the dots, or you can make them monochromatic. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but evidently someone asked for it. It does just put one dot instead of all of the dots from all of the different colored calendars. So maybe people just want a dot like, I've got something there. Like iStat menus, you can flip from month to month with ItzyCal and choose different dates to view. Also, in ItzyCal's preferences, you can choose to show the event location and calendar week numbers. Financial people really like those week numbers for some reason. In that same appearances menu, you can make the entire dropdown larger text. As a certified old person, I can vouch for how wonderful that option is. As I mentioned, iStat menu shows you events on the currently selected day and allows you to expand that for up to 7 days worth of information. ItzyCal, on the other hand, has an option in the general preferences to show anything from 1 to 7 days. So you can pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 days. You can also choose 14 days or even 31 days of events. Even with my incredibly unbusy schedule, 31 days is nuts. But, a week's worth is kind of handy. Above the list of events for the upcoming days is a separator bar with a few icons. The most glorious one is the plus button. Believe it or not, this allows you to make calendar events without opening up the full Apple Calendar. From that little pop out window, you can enter all of the usual things, including location, date, and time, how often you want to repeat it, and for how long. You can choose the calendar to which you want to add the event, and you can even add an alert. About the only things you can't do are add multiple alerts. I often set 2 or 3 for important events. You can't add notes, and you can't invite other people to the calendar event. But for 90% of our needs, this is really quick, a nice, quick, and easy way to create a calendar event. In that same section, there's a calendar icon, which, when clicked, simply opens your calendar. Next to it is a pin, which helpfully pins the ItzyCal drop-down calendar on screen, so it doesn't disappear while you, say, flip to another app to check something. The gear icon in that same row opens ItzyCal preferences, or you can simply use Command Comma while you've got ItzyCal revealed. By the way, did you know Command Comma is the keystroke for preferences in just about every macOS app? I noticed Don McAllister do it in a Screencast Online video once, and then I noticed him do it in another one, and then another one, and it finally got through to my thick skull that it's everywhere. Anyway, back to the appearance preferences. You can choose to highlight a specific day. For example, if you have weekends off, you may want to have a faint gray bar over the columns for Saturday and Sunday. I think it's a kind of nice effect, especially for those of us now referring regularly to Blur's Day. ItzyCal also supports dark mode if you're of that persuasion. In the general preferences, you can choose any day to be the start of the week, have ItzyCal launch at login, and choose which calendars to show. Now, I'm completely, totally addicted to clocks, so I also have to have the time available to me on my screen. Sure, I've got a watch on my arm and I've got a clock right behind me when I'm at my desk, but I need more clocks. Itzygal is a very odd implementation of time for its menu bar app. In the Appearance tab of Preferences, there's a text box where you can enter a date time pattern, and date time is stuck together as one word. And there's a reason for that. There's a question mark next to it that links to a long web page explaining all of the options you can put into date time pattern. If you enter something like H:MM, and that's a lowercase h, if you enter H:MM into the date time pattern box, the menu bar will show the time as 9:54, for example. If you enter H:MM space A, it will add the AM PM to the time. If you change that lowercase h to a capital H, you get the 24-hour time. Now, I call this an odd implementation of adding time to Itzycal, but if you've been taking programming by stealth, it doesn't look odd to you at all. You see, the students of Bart's programming class have been working on building web apps to show the time. This nomenclature used by Itzycal is exactly what we've been using in doing our homework. But here's the thing. When you're done configuring the time, you'll notice that it's not inside the little black or outline date created by Itzycal. It's just plain old text sitting to the right of it. I turned on the macOS system clock from time and date preferences, and it looked exactly the same to me. I wrote to Sanjay, the developer, and asked him whether it's ever going to be inside the box. And he said, no, not anytime soon. And he said, if I look more closely, it's actually a little bit more compact than the one from the system. Oh, well. There is a benefit of using the Itzycal time, though, is it always stays to the right of the date as you move the menu bar app side to side while holding down the Option key. No, not the Option key, the Command key. Oh, well. The main benefit of using the Itzycal time is that it always stays to the right of the date as you move the menu bar app while holding down the Option key and drag your. I said it again. Twice. I did it twice. It's a Command key. Right there.
Just call it the flower key.
The main benefit of using the Itzycal time is that it always stays to the right of the date as you move the menu bar app while holding down the Command key and drag your apps around to rearrange them. You did know that Command lets you reorder them, right? Well, the bottom line is that I think Itzycal is a delightful little menu bar app that has some very slick features. I've disabled the calendar from iStat menus for the time being to see if I definitely like it better. I will miss not having the time in New Zealand at the tip of my fingers to know whether it's a good time to interrupt Alistair at work with my frivolous questions, but perhaps this will be a benefit to him. You can find Itzycal at mowgli.com. That's MOWGLII.com. And if you like it, be sure to donate to the developer. I donated $10 to Sanjay for such a fun little app that solves the right problem in a very pretty way. All right, I'm going to have to drag out the ending. I'm going to fix, because I'm at 38 minutes and 28 seconds, and Stephen Getz will yell at me. That's why.
How are you going to drag it out for 7 minutes? That's going to be a
You know
long
what? Maybe
ending.
you know what I'll do? I think maybe I'll just add padding to the end.
7 minutes of silence, right?
No, not 7 minutes, a minute and a half.
Oh, I thought you said you were at 37. You got to be at 45?
No, 40.
40. Oh, okay. That's still a lot.
Well, I got a little bit to say.
All right.
All right. Okay, where are we? All right. There you go.
Kevin's got a tiny tip coming in.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're recording one?
I think he is.
Sing. Oh, that would be fun, Kevin. We are going to go away for almost a week, and I really need content. And I forgot to tell people that. I really
throw it in.
Yeah, I could do it right now.
You need to fill some time.
Well, let me look at my Itzycal and see, when are we going? We're going on the 22nd. Okay, so I need it like next week. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that'll fill my minute and a half.
Yes. Now, does this mean you're going to do this on the fly?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Okay, here goes. Probably be a disaster. I have a favor to ask you guys. Usually, if I take any kind of vacation, I ask Alistair or Bart to do the show for me. But I'm not going to do that this year. I got that far. We're going to go on a mini little, just try to get away from everything for a change of scenery vacation. And I would really like to have you guys send in reviews and tiny tips, anything you got to help me make a full-size show while we're gone. I should be able to do some content, and it will be a security bits week, but anything I can get from you guys would really help me out. So this is, let's see, let me look at my ItzyCal calendar here. We will be gone on the 22nd of June that week. So if you guys could get me something by the week ending the 20th of June, and that way I knew maybe the middle of the week, maybe by the 17th of June, I'd really appreciate it. If you're sure you're going to do something, if you're positive, but you can't get it done by then, shoot me a note and tell me you're positive you're going to do it. And then I can go on this little tiny holiday with peace and calm. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. As I said, don't forget to send in your reviews to Allison@podfeet.com. They can be dumb questions as well, even comments. Don't forget to go over and do some reviews over in Apple Podcasts as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Podfeet. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. If you want to become a patron, podfeet.com/Patreon. Want to join or maybe give some donations via PayPal? Podfeet.com/PayPal. Want to join our community? You can do that in Slack at podfeet.com/Slack or through Facebook at podfeet.com/Facebook. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show like Michelle did after having been gone for years and years, you can head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Yay! Thank you.
Good show, as
Al
Rick
went
says.
up the podcast feed. Do you see what Rick,
Yes,
what John wrote?
that was a little bit creative. Very
There's
creative.
your 90 seconds. Oh, shoot. I forgot to stop recording. That'll keep it going. Subscribe. I did. I made it to 40 minutes and 30 seconds.
And a little shout out for Michelle. That was nice.
It's probably not been years and years. It's probably been like a year. I think she's been there since then. And she left.
No, she's here. Yeah, is your feed not updating again?
No, it is updating. But, there she is. Yeah, she got a shout out. All right. I think we are a wrap. It
Pretty
is
good
6:02.
Yeah, we kept them a little late, but not too bad.
We've done worse.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, everybody. Have a good, safe week. Don't get sick. Take care of each other. Be nice to each other. And we will see you again next week. And we're not going to miss the live show, by the way. Don't worry. There won't be any live show problems.
We hope.
All righty. Bye, everybody. Bye, Rose. Mwah. Cut us off, Steve.
Good night, Gracie.